Hey, Heal Squad, I want to talk about why the safe guy feels boring and what your nervous system is actually telling you. Listen, if you've ever been talking to your girlfriend and you're like, he's nice, but there's something off, I just don't know. This video is for you. We're going to do some work as it relates to your nervous system because we are not sabotaging our relationships in 2026 and beyond. We are going to date healthy men and we're going to be able to regulate our nervous system because our nervous system has been conditioned to seek out chaos, okay? And so I'm going to talk about that. But before I do, next month, all February, every Saturday in February, I'm going to do group coaching. Some of you ladies have already booked February the 14th. There's a lot more ladies who are selecting that day. So if you want to do group coaching with me, and you want to do it on Valentine's Day, be sure to schedule for that day, and the link will be pinned, so you can go down below. So before I say what I'm going to say, I want to let you know that this is not about settling. Okay, there's a difference between being in a healthy and safe, emotionally safe relationship and settling. So let me just go ahead and say what that is. Settling is when there are needs that you have as a woman and they're not being met. And so you make the decision to be with a man who's not meeting your needs, whatever those needs are. That's settling. Okay. Now, being in a safe relationship, especially if you have an attachment issue, requires you to do the work as it relates to your nervous system and the things that may trigger you. Okay. There's a difference. I'm not telling you to be with a man that doesn't meet your needs. You need to have what you need, want, deserve, and desire. I'm not saying settle. I'm saying do the work to address your nervous system. Cool. All right. Good. Okay. So let's talk about why the safe guy feels off. Quite often, and let me say this too, because usually when this conversation is had and women are talking about men that are boring, they are talking about men who don't want to do anything, okay? They aren't interested in forming connection. That's very different. I'm talking about a healthy man who's showing up for you consistently, who's showing interest in you, who respects you, who's kind to you, who's considerate of you, who's considerate of your boundaries. That's what I'm talking about, okay? I'm not talking about a man who shows up and he's not doing the work to really build a relationship. I'm not talking about that, okay? So often when you, especially if you have an attachment, anxious attachment, disorganized attachment, those type of things, your nervous system has been conditioned or trained either through a traumatic event in your childhood or in your life. And so there are certain things that you're trying to recreate in your relationship. You may have been in unhealthy relationships with toxic men. And with that, that there's this emotional whiplash. One day you're good, the next minute you're not. And so you may look for that in a new relationship. But the thing is, healthy relationships don't have emotional whiplash. Healthy relationships don't have manipulation. Healthy relationships don't have cheating. Healthy relationships are two people who've done their work and they're showing up emotionally intelligent. So often what has happened is that many of us have been in relationships with unhealthy men who engaged in poor behavior. And even though you've prayed and you've done your work, you still may be drawn to that type of energy in a relationship because of your nervous system. Okay. So you are looking for love that activates your body, that activates your nervous system. Why? Because every time your nervous system is activated, it releases dopamine. So you're having a chemical reaction. That's just like when you see in the movies, they break up and then they have makeup sex and it's off the wall. Same concept, right? Same concept. And so you have to be mindful that you don't sabotage a healthy relationship because you try to get a dopamine fix. You need to go for a walk, for a jog. Right? To get those chemicals released in your brain so you're not picking at your partner, your husband, your man, your boo, the love of your life. Okay? All right. Let's talk about why, the roller coaster that you're used to. Many of us are used to dating men that are unhealthy. And so there is the emotional roller coaster. But when you are dating a man who has done his work, it is stable. Okay? He is consistent. He is very intentional and considerate as it relates to how he treats you and how he cares for you. He's not going to do anything to hurt or harm you intentionally. And you're used to being in relationships with men who didn't care, whether they hurt you or not. Okay? You have been in relationships where there was intermittent validation, right? Where the validation wasn't consistent as it relates to your role in his life. If you've had to ask, what are we? What are we doing? And then he tells you, oh, we're such as, you're my girl, you're my woman, we're dating, blah, blah. But his behavior doesn't line up with that. That's intermittent validation. His words are saying one thing, but his behavior is saying another. And then what does that create in you? It creates chaos in you. It creates confusion in you. You don't know. Your feelings are hurt, right? Then you may engage in behavior to try to perform. Now, remember, over here, we're dating selfishly, okay? We're not performing for a relationship. We are dating men that are healthy. We are dating men where we can form a relationship and we're mutually choosing each other. You are used to performing in order to be chosen. And so when this man comes, all right, let me go ahead and tell y'all this. When this safe man comes, and you don't have to ask him, where are we going? He instead shows up and says, listen, I want to date you exclusively. I want to marry you. You're not used to that, but you need to become used to that, because the healthy relationship that you've been praying for, that man's energy is very different. It's going to be something you've never experienced before. He's going to be very intentional about you. He knows that he wants an exclusive relationship. He knows he wants to get married. And he knows he has a time frame for when he wants to do that. He's not unclear, unsure. He doesn't lack clarity. He knows what he wants. Okay? So let's talk about what safety feels like in your body, because for many of you, you've never felt safe. And so this may be something that you work with in therapy, or if you want to schedule a coaching call with me, you're more than welcome to, because you got to feel safe in your body. Many of us internally have so much going on. You may be always anxious, always worrying, fretting about this or that, not feeling safe. Oh, something's, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's not even just emotional. It can be physical manifestations, high blood pressure, headaches, all of that, upset stomach, Pepto-Bismol commercial. You know what I'm saying? He was like, upset stomach, nausea, diarrhea. That's really can be your nervous system, but you're having physical responses. So let's talk about what safety feels like in your body, because you deserve to feel safe in your body. I'm going to take a moment and pause there. Many of us grew up in environments where we didn't feel safe in our body, because somewhere we may have experienced CSA or GRAPE, and we didn't feel safe in our home, in the temple that God gave us, because someone may have taken advantage of us. But you deserve to feel safe in your body, okay? You deserve to feel calm in your body, grounded in your body, okay? That is what you deserve to feel like. Not anxious, not always worried, not always on edge and on guard, okay? Listen, I want you to know that early on in this relationship, you may feel discomfort. You only feel discomfort because it's something different than what you're used to. But you have to know, right, that safety doesn't spike your emotions. It doesn't create urgency. It doesn't trigger your abandonment wound. He will be there for you. Some of you fear relationships because you fear being dropped. You fear being abandoned. This man is not going to reject you. And you may be waiting, like, when is it going to come? When is he going to break up with me? When is he going to ghost me? Because you're used to that, okay? I want you to know that peace can feel boring to a nervous system that's never had it. What was it in Color Purple? She said, all my life I had to fight. And many of us, and it's not just romantic relationships. It could be in your family. It could be at work, where you don't feel a sense of peace and calm in your life. So you have to address that. So let's talk about how and why we sabotage the safe guy. How we sabotage the relationship with the safe guy. We create unnecessary conflict, right? We overanalyze every text. We overanalyze every behavior, everything that he says. When he's busy, when he's hanging out with the boys, now you're questioning, is he cheating on me? Is he really hanging out with the boys? Or is there another woman? You question all of that. You test him emotionally. You may push his buttons to see how he responds when he's angry, because you're used to men that respond very aggressively. We don't do that, okay? Right? You may be fantasizing about emotionally unavailable exes. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Sometimes you miss the toxicity because you have romanticized it. I wish I knew a really good movie example that movie with Sanaa Lathan and Wesley Snipes. Give me 1 second so I can look it up. Disappearing acts. Yeah, in that movie. A lot of chaos. And you need to be mindful. This may be something you need to do in this season. You need to be mindful of the movies and the things that you are consuming. A lot of movies will have a whole lot of chaos, and then the woman is mistreated by a man, and then they still end up together happily ever after. And now you are consuming that, thinking like that's what your life is going to be like. No, we're not receiving that. Your love story is going to start off good and it's going to end well. It's not going to be you getting with a man and he's unhealthy, and then you're proving yourself and doing all of these things, going through everything with him, going through the lying, the cheating, the manipulating, the taking your money. We're not doing all of that. And then it's still supposed to be happily ever after. No, your man is going to show up healthy, and he's going to respect you. He's going to be kind to you. He's not going to manipulate you. Do you see what I'm saying? But when you're used to that, you try to recreate that in your current relationship, and then you end up sabotaging it. Okay? You may also end it because the spark isn't there. That spark always gets us. Okay? The reason why you may sabotage the relationship is because the nervous system is seeking familiarity. We are people of pattern, even if we're not aware that we're seeking out a pattern. So women always say, I always attract this type of man. And I say, it's not what you attract, it's what you accept. Because you can't control what you attract. You may be attracting a healthy man, but your nervous system knows there's going to be some chaos right here. So let me get some of that. And for my girlies that are spiritual, your spirit recognize spirit. Chaos. Sign me up. And you have to be logical and aware enough to say, I see it. That's not for me. If I'm with this man, I'm going to do a video when the test was a man, because sometimes, and I'm going to put it in the discernment series, so watch out for that. Sometimes a man comes before you and God is saying, all right, you going to select him, or you going to select him, or you going to pass this test? What you going to do? Because sometimes the man is coming to show you what work you've done. I done told you many times, I love me a hyper masculine man. But when I see them, I'm going about my way, because I already know how this is going to end. That's going to end badly, dudes. It may be fun for a few minutes, but it's going to end badly. Okay? So be on the lookout for that, because I'm going to do that soon. Okay? So let's talk about some tools that you can use. Okay? First, I want you to name the sensation. Okay? Ask yourself, am I bored or am I regulated? Label the feeling instead of reacting to it. You're not bored. What it is that your nervous system is seeking that hit of dopamine. You're seeking that crisis, right? So are you bored or are you regulated? Because you're not used to the calmness. You're not used to the peace. So it's not boring. I'm regulated. And if I'm telling myself I'm bored, then I need to address this so I don't sabotage this relationship. Okay? I want you to delay the exit. No major decisions when emotionally activated. Okay? So if you are like, I just feel like he doesn't really like me. Because you may be used to men that are pushing sex early on. You're used to men that are push against your boundaries. And here this man comes, he's a gentleman and he's respectful. And now you're triggered because you don't know how to deal with that. I want you to give yourself some time before you label it as boring. Become investigative as it relates to him and how he's showing up. Now, time, I mean 30 to 90 days. I'm not saying years of this, okay? Because he may really be boring, right? He may be unhealthy. But 30 to 60 days. Okay. So don't make any major decision when you're emotionally activated, when you're triggered, when you feel bored, when you may be sabotaging yourself. Okay. When you are, let's say for instance, he tells you he's going out with the boys and you have relationships where you've been cheated on multiple times by different men. I want you to find positive ways of coping, whether it's journaling, writing in the moment about how you feel, whether it's taking slower breaths and deeper breaths, okay? Finding a way to ground yourself where you're doing, whether it's a physical grounding technique, or a olfactory grounding technique, finding something that smells good, that reminds you, that's connected to a past positive memory. You want to, or turn on your favorite song and dance, right? You remember when we got some young people here, but baby, back in the 99s and the 2000s, we used to back it up, okay? Turn on your favorite song, laugh, dance, and be silly. Why? You're trying to shift the energy from focusing on him to soothing and calming yourself and elevating your mood, so you're not going down the path of catastrophizing everything, right? Okay. I need you to separate chemistry from anxiety. Chemistry goes with emotional safety. Anxiety creates urgency. So sometimes you're looking for chemistry. Chemistry can grow, it can build, right? There are I'm going to do a video for you guys too about a slow burn. There's certain formulations that you can put together, right? That it's not a spark initially. It takes a while before you begin to feel the heat. Those like even when those ice packs, the ice packs where you break it and then you have to shake it, right? It takes a while. It doesn't instantaneously become cold. It takes a while before it becomes cold, and then you feel it, okay? So it's the same with relationships. It can grow to be very hot and heavy like you want it to be, but don't look for that necessarily up front, because that's showing you something different, okay? Now, excitement comes. This is the other tool. I want you to know that let the excitement for the relationship come when you're discovering who he is, discovering shared values, intellectual connection, emotional attunement, and him being consistent over time. Let that be what turns you on. Let that be the chemistry that you are looking for. And I know that's ultimately what you're looking for. You're looking for a love that is safe and a love that is gentle, a love that is reciprocal, okay? So let's talk about what attraction looks like when you're healing. Healthy attraction feels like curiosity, but not obsession. Remember that song Mariah Carey said, "Why are you so obsessed with me?" Not that, okay? Desire without desperation. We're not desperate for love. Warmth instead of urgency. Trust while building slowly. Secure love doesn't hijack your nervous system. It teaches it how to rest. How would it be to meet a man and feel like you can just rest in him? Like you can finally take a deep breath, because when you're anxious, your breathing is very short. But with him, it's like, and you can let your hair down. It's available to you. Listen, I want you to know that just because you crave intensity doesn't mean that you're broken. It means that you need to do some work to retrain your nervous system. And with time, it'll become easy. The work that you're doing today will only benefit you in the future, okay? You're not always going to do this work as it relates to retraining your nervous system, because once you train it and you practice it, it becomes easier, okay? I want you to know that healing means choosing safety for your body. So the next time you meet a man, instead of asking or instead of questioning, is he boring? I want you to question if you can tolerate peace. I want you to pay attention to how you feel. And are you sabotaging this relationship because you are used to unhealthy relationships, even though you desire a healthy one? Well, my name is Cynthia. Thank you for rocking with me. This is Heal the New Sexy. Until we meet again.